Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we've got another interview with a bit of a strange type of trader. Sometimes I refer to them as tinfoil hat traders, but Ben is actually a smart money trader. He trades and is the head trader at Vertex Investing. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Sweet. So Ben, do you want to just start off explaining sort of who you are and more importantly, how did you actually get into trading?
Yeah, so my name's Ben. I've been trading for about 4 years now. I started pretty much exactly how everyone else did with, the signals, getting rich quick. To be honest, I always knew I'd run some sort of business, but I found trading before I'd found something that I wanted to run a business on. Got scammed a few times, but realistically, even in signals, you get your odd good signal, whether it's 200 pip stop loss, whatever, and you just put the wrong lot of size on or anything. And you can see that making money is possible. It just depends on, how you execute it. So coming from signals, I did have sort of a bit of success. I had a slow decline, basically. I was slowly losing money,
Yeah,
but I was getting some winning trades, which is lucky because, if I wasn't getting any at all, I probably wouldn't have stuck to it.
yeah.
Then I decided to learn for myself, like pretty much everyone else does. And then I came through. The strategy that I mainly traded for about 2.5 years was break and retest, the standard trend line fib, and then wait for the break, wait for a retest, and then go again. Until recently, in the last like year or so, we've been trading smart money, as Jack's mentioned. And essentially, where this comes from is just understanding where the banks, everyone's heard of stop hunts. It's a common term thrown around in retail trading. And it's essentially trying to enter where the banks are looking for stop hunts. So when retail trader, we're still retail traders, but the standard retail methods that have been, stopped out, then that's where we're entering. And our stop loss can be, 2 or 3 pips. I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous. We had a friend who was trading it for 4 months. Myself, Tans, who runs Vertex with me. He's actually the head trader. I'm just the founder. But we we sort of ignored him for a while, and then eventually we sort of seeing he was getting results, and then we might as well try it, see what happens. And then yeah, it's just crazy to believe. To be honest, it's way too hard to believe.
So is smart money, um, with obviously having 2 to 3 pip stop losses, how do you find things like spread and stuff affect your entries with that? Are you using brokers with fixed commissions instead of variable spreads, or
Yeah. So personally, I believe me, Tans, and James, the three main traders at Vertex, we all use IC markets
yeah,
with the raw account. So we get a fixed spread fee. But it is something that you have to take into account, especially when it comes to taking sells around the spread time on a evening, because even a spread such as like 2 or 3 pips is gonna end our
yeah,
trade instantly.
yeah,
Um, and that's the only thing you really need to worry about in terms of spreads. If you do use a standard broker that has really bad spreads or commonly known for bad spreads, e.g., if you signed up for a signal provider, you probably have a broker with bad spreads.
yeah.
Then SMC is going to be quite hard for you to trade.
Got it. And is SMC something, do you think that's like increasing in popularity, or do you think it's because for me personally, I always just jokingly call it tinfoil hat trading because like the whole idea of trading like an institution and things like that. But I'm aware of a few of the bigger traders in the retail space who do trade that method and have a massive amount of success. And obviously, I watch the YouTube channel that you guys run, Vertex Investing, and obviously there's some pretty interesting stuff on there. Do you think as an awareness grows for it through things like your YouTube, through the free Telegram, do you think it'll become more popular for retail traders to do that? And do you think the effectiveness of SMC trading will actually decline, or do you think it'll sort of stay pretty prevalent?
The popularity is definitely increasing, but the fact is, in the market, signal providers are always going to have more like social pull than we will.
Yeah,
Um, People just prefer the lifestyle, the sort of get rich quick. Anything that can sell that sort of dream, people are going to be gravitating towards regardless.
yeah,
At the end of the day, you're going to trust someone who has a Lamborghini than you will who just shows charts that you don't understand.
yeah,
Um, and from there, it's pretty much just understanding that it is going to get more popular, but the more popular methods are always going to be the trend line fade, break and retest, using support resistance, trading standard ranges, consolidating markets,
Yeah.
etc. And it is increasing in popularity, but I don't think it would ever decline in use, because Wyckoff theory, which is like the original
Yeah.
SMC concept, it was built for stocks, and it
Yeah.
still works for stocks, and it transferred over to crypto indexes or indices, and then
Yeah.
it still works. So I'm assuming it's going to work forever, but with the risk reward anyway, it only needs to work once in, every 10,
Yeah.
20 trades for it to even be profitable. Um, so even if it does decline in sort of success rate, we're still going to be able to utilize the high risk reward.
And is that something that you see? Obviously, I know with a couple of my strategies, they're not smart money strategies, but they do have that sort of lower strike rate, high risk reward. I mean, one I can recall having a 56R trade followed by 14 losers in a row. Um, is that something that you see, or is it the case that you're actually getting a high strike rate and that sort of crazy R? I mean, sometimes I've seen 3-digit R's on breakdowns on the YouTube, so it's some pretty crazy returns from a risk.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. We don't actually get that return because we do take partials.
Got it.
We do, move stop loss to break even and everything. So you do get
Yeah.
stopped out quite a lot at break even, just by the nature of it. Because anything, say if we have like a 1 or 2 pip stop loss, and price moves 20 pips, break even has to be there because that's like 10%.
Yeah, of course.
But then that's only 10, 20 pips. So then
Yeah.
price can easily move anything that happens, news event will stop us out.
Yeah.
That's the main issue that we have with the strategy. But realistically, with the whole concept of trading with the banks, obviously we're still retail traders,
Yeah.
but the banks are aware of these news events as well, so they wouldn't be placing their orders when these things are happening. That's the whole theory behind it anyway. But it still happens occasionally because you can't judge exactly where the banks are going to be
Yeah.
taking their
Yeah, of
trades.
course.
But yeah, it's just one of those things, really.
And
We
is
get a
it
decent strike rate, to be fair. It's about uh, the majority of all the strategies that we trade, myself, Tans, and James, we all trade it slightly different.
mhm,
The same concept, the same rules apply, but we obviously risk appetite,
yeah,
the style of the trader, etc. That all comes into play. But we all sit above 50%, so it's not
nice,
the worst. But we've got to be really picky. In the past 2 weeks, I believe, since we hired a new mentor, we've had like no trades at all.
nice.
We took one, and that was break even last week. So it's
Yeah,
just sort of being patient, but I suppose it happens with all strategies. You can force a lot of trades and probably be profitable anyway, but there's no point really.
yeah, that's the one thing as well that I just wanted to touch on that I see you post a lot on your stories and Instagram. We'll get your Instagram somewhere on the screen. Now, the idea of that patience of sitting out the market and not forcing it, I think is definitely something that's really important. I think
Yeah.
regardless of whether you're trading smart money with indicators, discretionary mechanical systems, that idea of being patient and not and going for quality over quantity, I think is really important. But with smart money, are you using indicators or is it a purely price action based trading system?
For us, it's purely price action based. I know some people do use EMA to help sort of determine the trend.
Yeah,
People use the volume indicator to decipher what people call anomalies, and to decipher where the banks are actually going to be placing their trades. But we don't
yeah,
use volume within our strategy. We probably are looking to implement it. We're trying to sort of test about and try different ways of using it, because it is common. That is the main indicator that people are using,
yeah,
smart money concept. But realistically, the simpler you can keep it, the better, because every factor you add in has to be quite complex to teach. With it
yeah,
being smart money and trying to understand where the banks come from, it's not just if it breaks this line, wait till it comes back and then
yeah.
place your trade. We don't get that sort of opportunity, but we are just trying to keep it simple and get as many successful traders as we can. So that's what we're trying to do. But volume is the only indicator that would likely ever be used.
And would that be like something like a volume profile, or would you be looking at more like the ladder or something like that?
The volume profile.
What is?
People usually delete that off the trading view.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
actually find it really helpful as well, especially when you're placing levels. I think it can be really useful
yeah,
to have it on there. It's just another sort of, I wouldn't call it a confluence factor because it's probably not that prevalent, especially in FX. But I
It's
think
just
like,
useful to have there.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just an extra tool that if someone else doesn't have, you've got a bit more of an edge over them.
Hmm.
Is so obviously there's a big, I think there's a divide at the minute within the retail space with this idea of people spending hours in front of the charts, um, living this sort of full-time creator lifestyle vibe, sort of sweating out in front of the screen all day between like sort of 7 a.m. London Open all the way through to like when it gets dark outside. And this sort of camp of people who, like myself, don't want to spend all day in front of the charts and are using more
Hmm.
alerts-based systems. With smart money, obviously, you're looking for points of interest and things at different levels in the market where institutions may be getting in, where stocks might be getting hunted, areas of liquidity. Is it something that you can actually use an alerts-based system for, where you're not sat in front of the charts, or is it quite
Uh,
intense?
no, it is pretty straightforward, to be honest. Point of interest for us, we've made it in a sense that it's so easy to find. Because we don't actually use Wyckoff in our strategy.
Mhm.
It's built in behind the scenes, but if you follow the rule based system, you sort of end up ticking off all the things
Right.
that Wyckoff does anyway. So we don't have to, break down all the accumulation, redistribution, all
Yeah.
of that stuff. We're just looking for a simple point of interest, which I'll show in it later on. But and then from there, you just set an alert in your point of interest. And then when it comes to it, then we execute part two of the strategy. And if that doesn't get satisfied, then we leave and then go find the next point of interest and go from there. We do have little things that help you decide which point of interest to pick. But all of that comes in, you can just alert on each point of interest. Usually, points of interests are mainly based from a 4 hour chart. So it is just using alerts. We don't have to sit there very
Yeah.
long. But again, it works on any time frame, so you can use it on the minute chart if you really wanted to just scalp some like
Yes.
1 to 5s, 1 to 10s, and it works. But it's just all dependent on the trader, really.
Yeah, I know that's one thing for me personally when I have this sort of image in my head of a smart money trader
Yeah,
just sat on the 1 minute time frame, sweating it out, entering sort of 20, 30 trades a day. But that's interesting. I never realized you could actually take it on the high time frames as well. But I suppose a lot of the quote unquote whales of the market, the big institutions are probably sitting on those high time frames anyway to be able to get
yeah,
filled without slip. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You've obviously just alluded to it there, something that's really exciting on this interview. We're going to look at how you, well, first of all, you sort of mentioned before how your trading's changed going from a break and retest. But for you guys who are watching this, Ben is going to do an awesome thing and actually share his screen and talk through a sort of trading setup that he's looked at and talk through some concepts of the smart money trading. So, Ben, do you want to share your screen and we'll get that up
yeah.
now?
So I've just rewound the market on GBP JPY 4 hour chart using the trading view replay. So I've drawn this trend line in. You could have drawn it in many different ways. If you wanted to draw it from here, you could. And then pretty much what retail traders would be doing at this point is, again, we're still retail traders, but the standard retail
Yeah,
methods, you would probably either looking for a fib retracement from this push here,
yeah.
and I would show you, but my Fibonacci is messed up right now because we use the 50% thing. But again, 61.8 probably is around here somewhere,
Yeah,
and you would have been stopped out. Alternatively, you may have got an entry. For example, if you were taking this off, support and resistance,
yeah,
and you had this key level here, let's go off this wick right here. So this would have been a potential level. So essentially what people do is the standard is, it's broke this level, we'll get the retest, and your stop loss probably is down here somewhere.
yeah,
Let's go for like, say 40 pips. That's an average stop loss. And then you would target the high, which again, that's a nice 3 to 5, it's 3 to 1, 3.5 to 1 trade. Sorry.
yeah,
So I already know this does hit take profit because this is one of the trades that I hit a while ago. But as we see, you get a nice 3.5%, which is a great trade. And I've been trading this for 2-3 years. I have been doing this consistently, and it's all great. But realistically, we've found so many different ways that you can sort of implement this and get it more accurate, become more precise, and sort of get to the point where you can change that 3.5 to simply just taking trend and market structure. So what we do is we trade price ranges, and
right.
not consolidation as in like a standard range, but we trade
Yeah,
each range So as it breaks structure, example here, we got this break of structure from here. Price is pushed up. So now our range is this between these two drawn lines.
Yeah.
And then we get another break of structure here, which is in our range again. And now this is our new range from the high, from the point that broke structure, which is this is what caused the move.
Yeah.
And the candle that caused the move is what we call an order block. Again, if you want to learn more, it is all on our channel,
Yeah.
Vertex Investing.
Yeah. We'll have
Go
a link in
ahead.
the description of the video.
Yeah, have a look. I know it's really hard to believe. We were all skeptical. Like I say, as our friend was trading it for 4 months consistently, and we still didn't believe him. But we got there, and it's just crazy. We spend more times in our Instagram DMs these days trying to prove people, that it's legit. And if they don't want to view the YouTube and they want proof that it works, then then it is what it is. We just have to move on. So
Yeah, I think
essentially,
anyone will doubt. I think as soon as anyone, we have it with the EA as well. As soon as you produce any sort of larger return than sort of 1 or 2% a month, people
yeah.
start questioning its legitimacy. But
So
so when you're
essentially,
marking
from
that
the
level,
yeah.
when you're marking that yellow box there between the order block, what is it you're actually looking for there? Are you marking it just from the sort of wick to wick of that spinning top?
Yeah, so this is the order block candle that we
Yeah.
class as the order block. And essentially, there's two ways you can enter. You can enter off the open of the order block, which is like obviously the top,
Yeah.
or you can enter a 50%. 50% just happens to be like a really consistent number in SMC. So based off, without any refinement at all, just going off the 4 hour, we can
Yeah.
instantly turn this trade into obviously
Yeah,
a 10 to 1.
you've tripled your R there, haven't you? Definitely.
Yeah, and that's without any refinement at all. We do teach this in a single video, completely free online. These are called risk entries, which aren't sort of as consistent as
Yeah.
standard trades. But if you did do a retail sort of breakdown on it, like I did before, you get your support and resistance in, you get your key level, you got your break and retest. Then using these risk entries with that will easily help you with your risk reward. Just by implementing order blocks, which is, again, if you don't want to use our channel, it's commonly found online.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before, if we just had an alert on the open of the order block, say I put an alert right here,
Yeah.
once price touches, as long as I'm like near a computer, then I'll
Yeah,
be
of course.
okay. We can refine the order blocks. I don't want to go too in depth because it is quite a long subject to go through. Again,
Yeah.
you can check it out online. But what we tend to do is we have a confirmation entry, which is basically going through the same thing. I don't want to sort of reveal too much, but I will show where your entry would be. I know
Yeah.
it's, again, it sounds stupid and it's easy to sort of, go through a chart that you already know. Obviously, I've done this.
Yeah.
Essentially, we're looking for a change of trend on the lower time frame,
Got it.
and again, finding another order block. I'm not going to go fully in depth with it, but there is entries that we would take. Let me see. I actually already skipped past it. Our original entry would have been here based off this original zone.
Yeah.
But there is another entry right here again.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I just put one of these in and you'll be able to see the difference.
I suppose all you're doing there as well is just sort of zooming in, taking a top-down approach from that 4 hourly
Yeah,
time
exactly.
frame.
But it's scaling down to the minute chart, which are not a lot of people sort of
Yeah.
have the confidence to do because they don't believe in the stop loss sizes, which is sort of a given because we, as traders, we're always taught, 10 to 30 pips stop loss is not
Yeah.
enough breathing room for your trade to breathe. But realistically, it is if you can sort of get the precision that you want. And
Yeah.
that was, I'm not sure how big that stop loss was, 3.2 pips.
Yeah.
And now, even if you target the same high, it's sort of, now you're looking at 56%. Again, I would take partials at this level here because there's a potential order block.
Yeah.
So at that point would have been,
Still a pretty
24 hour.
respectable risk reward.
Yeah, 24 hour. And it's like, but we do take on the YouTube, we do say, 57 to 1 R just because we leave a slight bit open. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah. I know Tan's got a 2 pip stop loss on this trade. I'm not sure where his entry was exactly.
Yeah.
Mine was a 5, so mine was actually terrible. But yeah, if you play this out to like current day and you held it, it's
Yeah,
just
geez.
ridiculous. Like this could have been at best with a 3 pip stop loss, if I can see
Yeah.
this. 144R. So that's where we get our YouTube titles from, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, of
we
course I
we would just
understand.
trail like 1% of our position
Yeah.
and then see what happens from there. But yeah, even hitting 1% risk or 0.5% risk on this on 144R is still what, 72, 36R.
Yeah.
So that's still huge, even though you
Yeah,
only held
that is
0.5.
incredible. If you can pull 36 off like over the space of a couple of months, you're pretty impressed. Never mind the
Yeah,
space
this
sort of how
is
many
what,
days.
23 days.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
really impressive.
I'm pretty sure Nick, our new mentor, was still holding this to this day. So,
I suppose when you're in that much profit and you've got that,
well,
if
that's the
you've
whole point.
closed
We take
some,
the partials and then
yeah,
we're just good from there, pretty much. It's just hold and see what you can sort of milk out of it. Because even holding 25 or 10% of your position can make serious returns.
yeah,
Obviously, we
100%.
closed here at 24R partials, but the
Yeah,
rest, we still missed 120R.
yeah,
So it's just huge that, like,
that
you
is
can still get
ridiculous.
it. Yeah.
And would this type of system, I sort of already know based on the sort of socials that I follow with Vertex Investing yourself, is this conducive to FTMO? I know there's a couple of our strategies that we can achieve sort of 40 to 50R on some continuation trends on indices.
Hmm.
Similar to this, where you're sort of just basically looking for a big trend continuation with quite a good entry,
Yeah.
which isn't conducive to FTMO just due to the length of time that you're holding the positions for in order to compensate for the lower strike rate of our system. Is this conducive to FTMO? Because obviously you're basically passing in one trade with that example.
Yeah. That is one of the issues we have. So we have a lot of people who, so in the community, who pass FTMO with one trade. So
Hmm.
it is possible, and we
Yeah,
do have people who do it. But a lot of people rush into the FTMO without seeing the consistency.
yeah,
And with this sort of method, if you do get one good trade and it will pass, and then say you get another one in your verification, a lot of people struggle to maintain the FTMOs afterwards because they haven't
yeah,
seen the consistency first. Again, it's not because of the strategy; it's just because they haven't developed the experience from
yeah.
the markets. But yeah, it's absolutely possible to pass in one trade, and that is sort of the issue that we kind of have. It's like it's a sort of good problem to have in sense. So you can
Yeah,
pass FTMO, but you also may luckily pass it just by getting
yeah.
the fact that the
Bit
strategy is so
sort of
good.
almost giving you a bit of a false sense of security if you manage just to sort of pull one out the bag first time.
Yeah, that's exactly what we have. Because then people just start forcing order blocks and they're not patient with their trades. Again, like we say, myself, James, and Tans, we only took like a total of 3, 4 trades between us in the
Yeah,
last 2 weeks. And that's just how it works. But if you were able to catch something like this, what we tend to, obviously you can't hold over weekends on FTMO.
yeah,
Um, so what we do tend to say is on the lower time frame where you're entered, say you entered on the 5 minute, is just take profit at your highs. So
yeah,
say potentially just here
yeah.
and just not try and hold the big swings because one, you only need 10%. So the point of holding something for 1 to 50 is like
Yeah, it's
completely
completely
pointless.
pointless, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're just taking 1 to 5s or 1 to 10s, well, obviously 1 to 10s are pass. Say 1 to 5s,
Yeah,
which you can get in, based off this trade here is 15 pips move,
yeah,
give or take spreads 17 pips move or something like that. So at that point, 17 pips can get you 1 to 5. You just need to find one more trade or two more trades that are going to be winning for
yeah,
you to pass anyway. Order blocks, obviously, we get this massive risk reward, but you can still trade it as 1 to 3s, 1 to 5s, and have great success from it because
yeah.
the strike rate isn't bad.
Yes,
So you are able to still profit from it.
that's mega. And obviously, I'm just looking there. Quite an interestingly named watch list there. Quite like it.
Yeah. Because my
Is
US 30s was my main hold, but like it's there as well.
So how many assets are you trading this across? I know when I started trading with Fib, obviously I don't do that much manual trading now as I'm focusing a
Yeah.
lot of my energy into trying to get more quantitative styles of trading. I know I used to struggle with anything more than sort of 5 or 6 pairs. With this system, how many pairs or assets would you sort of on a normal sort of trading day would you be looking at?
If I can move this out of the way so I can see. Usually I trade EURUSD, and US30
Yeah,
alone. So it's sort of This was for an Instagram post. I didn't take all these trades. But yeah, Euro USD, AUD USD tends to be a high win rate for me.
Yeah.
Or at least break even. Like these two here were both break evens, but it was running pretty decently at one point. But yeah, AUD USD, Euro USD, and US 30. Occasionally the GBP pairs that I have on there, but it does work on any pair. But yeah, often I look at three to five at best. Yeah, I just have a few extra on there just in case everything's dry like the past few weeks. But it
Yeah.
hasn't helped, so it doesn't make a difference.
And I suppose one other question I like to ask anyone this: what is your favorite asset to trade? Now, I think I've already got a pretty good idea what it is from what you just
Yeah,
mentioned, but
US 30 by
yeah,
far. I don't know. It's because it just works so well with structure.
yeah,
As I showed before, GBP, JPY with this, there is like a solid structure level there, and the order block is just on it. So
yeah,
if you can put the two together, the strike rate's insane, and obviously US 30 moves at a rate that nothing else really does.
yeah. It's
Um,
fantastic.
and it just sort of flows when it's trending, like sort of not big trending, but anything
Yeah,
like this, you can make so much money from. When it was like this, I completely avoided it, so it's not
yeah,
been my favorite for a
yeah. Same.
while. I'm not gonna lie, but even then, there's an order block here, and it triggered like off the wick, and it's just like them sort of entries people don't believe because I posted one the other day on Instagram, and I even showed the MT4 shot, and like it was exactly on the pip, and the guys were just like, nah, that's not real, and I was like, yeah. My stop. He's like, you don't even have a stop loss. I was like, because we're on the 30-second chart, you can't see the stop loss because it's 2 pips above,
Yeah,
and it's not there. But realistically, it's just crazy to believe, to be honest. But we don't tend to put much energy into people who are doubters. We just say, go check the YouTube. If you don't believe it, then we
yeah. The
literally put it
YouTube's
out
got
for
some good
free.
stuff
So
on.
if you don't want to look at it, then that's your problem.
Yeah, yeah. I think the YouTube has got some really good explanations on as well, so I definitely would recommend checking that out.
Thank you.
Honestly, I mean, to be honest, this is the first time that I've ever fully sort of understood the whole concept just with that run through there. I think that was really helpful. So thank you for that. But the YouTube has some fantastic examples on as well. Um, and yeah, obviously keep an eye out for that. You guys seem to be uploading sort of every day, if not every other day. So there's loads of content on there for you guys to watch as well.
Yeah,
So that,
Tans is an absolute machine. He's just posting
yeah,
content
he's
like
a
this no
beast. He seems
tomorrow.
to just be uploading constantly at the minute, which is great. So one thing I also like to ask a lot of traders who are who've been trading for a similar sort of time myself. I actually noticed on your email, I think you were born in '99, same as me, so
Yeah.
probably started trading at a very similar time. What are your sort of 1, 2 year goals, 3, 4 year, and then sort of longer term goals with your trading, with Vertex, with sort of everything really in that front?
In terms of actually trading, I sort of compound my account like 100% at the moment, so I don't take anything out of it. I actually do Amazon FBA. I've just started doing like audiobook publishing as well.
Nice.
Um, I'm in the process of a cut, but yeah, I'm just sort of developing the passive income streams and sort of going off those to live from. I don't live off a lot, to be honest, at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm just compounding everything, so I'm trying to hit 7 figures in the account, but
Nice.
in the next 5 years, that's where I want to be. Obviously, I'm going to start withdrawing more as I start getting older. Only 21 at the moment, so
Yeah.
we're just sort of focusing on the trading. It's been going slow the past couple of months, except from that GBP JPY trade. I don't think I've hit like a big trade, anything above 1 to 20 in a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, but it is just part of trading, really. So it's just sort of developing the other income streams. Again, in say 10 years' time, I actually probably want to stop trading and start more investing based
Yeah.
sort of income streams just because trading's so stressful. I don't know about you. Even if you put it emotionless and you've got a system that works and you know it works and you trust it, it's still very stressful to sort of rely on it as your only source of income.
Yeah.
Um, Especially before I started Vertex and when I first went full time, it was just sort of I thought it was going to be great. I'm just going to sit at the charts and get all the money. I'm going to trade even better because I don't have a job anymore. I can just sit
Yeah.
there and watch. But it actually made it harder for me to make money because I had more time to just look and make up false setups in my head.
Yeah.
And obviously now I've learned to just use the alerts and come back to it. Otherwise, I'm one of those people who struggles to hold trades. and I
Yeah.
struggle to sort of be patient. So if I sit at the charts, then I'm just gonna start losing money.
Yeah, I think that's definitely for me as well. I always say this to everyone, and I've probably said this now on like basically every YouTube video I've ever done, but I trade to make money, not to give myself another job. And I
Yeah,
think the idea of moving to more passive investments, longer term sort of well, ETFs in the S&P 500, for example, is a great example. Having enough money to be able to comfortably live off those sort of investments, I think, is the end goal for me as well. So I can totally resonate with you on that front. And the idea of having multiple sources of income, I think, are great. Obviously, yourself and me both sort of make money outside of trading from other trading related things such as mentoring and whatnot. So I think that's also another great thing, a bit of shared experience, as well as both doing YouTube. So hopefully we'll both become those YouTube celebrities, and someone will ask,
yeah.
what job do you do? And we drive around in our fancy supercars, but I don't know how long it'll take to get there.
Well, you don't live that far away from me, do you? So
No, I was gonna,
we'll have a meetup one day when we get
yeah,
them.
I was gonna say I was actually gonna mention that at the start of the interview. It would have been nice to be able to do an in-person interview, but sadly, COVID's thrown a bit of a wedge
Yeah,
between the idea.
yeah. Oh, it's terrible at the moment.
It is. I think the only benefit I think for me personally was being able to just spend a lot more time on the charts, and that's probably it.
I've actually spent less because it was just sort of the mental health side of things was quite an issue.
Yeah,
Just sitting here in the same seat all day.
yeah,
I think if you follow me on socials, you literally see I'm sat in this seat at least 12
yeah.
hours a day. So it's just sort of getting away from the charts is more beneficial than anything for me. Um,
Yeah, I think you've got to, especially I know for myself as well. I work from my bedroom. It's my office. It's where I watch TV. It's where I chill out. I think it is. You're totally right on that front. I think aside, just everything aside from trading, I think especially at this moment in time, I think everyone's got to sometimes take a minute and just go out and even if you, I don't know whether this is technically allowed with the whole lockdown thing, but just going for a drive or going for a walk for half an hour to an hour
yeah, you're
and
allowed to exercise once a day or something
yeah,
like that. So
exactly. Just getting a bit of fresh air, I think, especially at the minute, even if you're not trading, just because I think it's so important at the moment. And from a trading perspective, I know it's great. I find if I'm working on a new system or I'm trying to improve a strategy or I'm doing some back testing, for example, the benefit I find from spending an hour off the charts and then coming back is so much greater than just spending an hour just sort of mashing your brain into a
and you
potato.
actually probably progress a lot faster anyway, and you get
Oh,
the health benefits
yeah,
regardless. So it just works. Because we were
yeah,
thinking about getting an office, just down by the quayside in
yeah,
Newcastle. Um, and it's just a different change of scenery sort of thing.
yeah,
Get out the house, get somewhere, fresh air on the way, and then just sort of different perspective. Because again, like you say, when you're working in the place where you sleep, it's kind of it merges into one. You want these two
yeah,
lives to be separate because obviously, like you say, you trade for money. You don't want it to be your life sort of thing.
yeah. I think that's
But
completely right. And we were going to get an office a little bit closer because I'm sort of half an hour away from Newcastle-ish. Um, but again, well, the main reason was because they wouldn't let us put a gas stove in the office to cook me dinner on, and I'd have to use a microwave. And I just sadly got used to using the kitchen in the house. But yeah, I think it's really important now that change of scenery. But I think it's hopefully it won't be too long, and everything will be over. But I suppose one last point would be obviously we've sort of touched on what Vertex is anyway. It's sort of it teaches smart money concepts and whatnot. I'll let you explain a little bit more. But more importantly, if someone wants to get in contact with you to maybe take up some more mentoring, if they watch the YouTube videos and want to learn a bit more, how can they get in touch with you? And what is it actually that you guys will offer, be it paid or free services?
yeah, so Vertex actually came together ages ago. Myself as a technical trader and Tans as a mechanical trader. We both had backgrounds in sort of educating. Um, we just thought we'd come together and make something different. Obviously, since then we've sort of evolved into SMC concepts, but
Yeah,
the whole point we did start completely for free for like a good few months, and that
yeah,
was the only thing that we did. We did have signals for free, and then we did progress into signals, but we've since then stopped purely because signals just don't work no matter what you
yeah,
do, and it's
yeah.
not the way to
Even if
go.
you're profitable, they just don't
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
And again, even if someone is profitable, if they start to like rely on you as their source of income,
yeah,
you're sort of responsible. You're not because they're taking the trades themselves,
yeah.
but
You sort of are at the same time.
yeah. So it's just sort of it's not great to have signals at all from a mental point of view and as a sort of a student point of view, you shouldn't be using signals at all. So we've gone from there. We've purely gone into an educational role. If you want to learn for free, we have a lot of free content. Vertex Investing on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. If you want to get in touch with me, like Jack says, my Instagram would have been on the screen at some point.
Get it on the screen again now.
Yeah, and yeah, you can contact Tans, James. Their links are in the Vertex Instagram, so you can go through there. But if you did want to join our private community, which we host on Discord, we've got the course, psychology content, motivation content. We cover absolutely everything from start to finish, but obviously the focus is around the smart money concept.
Yeah.
That's £500 one-off fee at the moment. We did have a monthly, but we started getting a lot of leaks as we started to grow. So it is £500 one-off. We've not had a price change since we started. All the updates, including the order block update, obviously, was included for free for clients beforehand. So, we're not charging anything extra. £500 simply just for our time to sort of
100%.
sit in the community. But yeah, that's the price at the moment. We do have a boot camp that we run once a month, which is live teaching, but you do need a Forex background to sort of get started in it, because we don't teach the basics, because it would take way too long for us to do.
It would take a month to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like £1,000 for 2 days live teaching, and then you get everything that's in the course included, all the PDFs, the course videos, the community, and obviously our support, which is what you pay for. But yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, that sounds mega. And anyone who was shocked, for example, when Ben mentioned £500, the amount of content these guys put out for free will justify £500 anyway, right? There's nothing. Obviously, we always preach about free education on YouTube, but people's time costs money, and these guys spend hours and hours in their community. I haven't seen their paid content, but going off what the YouTube is, I know it's going to be fantastic. So I definitely recommend getting amongst that if you do want to do the smart money concept. So I think to wrap up, thank you very much for coming on the YouTube channel.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And if anyone's got any questions, hit them up in the comments. I will notify them when this is going live, so we can sort of sit in the comments, or feel free to drop them a message. And yeah, cheers, guys. And I will see you in the next one.